Today I talk about talent versus hard work, coaching motivation, and how to deal with toxicity. Welcome to Mind Games TV episode 41. It wasn't until I finished filming my video yesterday that I realized that there was a mop sitting outside in the background. So just to show you that yes, I do clean my floors, and yes, I do leave mops hanging over the balcony. Sorry about the background. I don't have the best green screen system set up for these videos. But anyway, today we have 3 questions again, and I want to thank everybody who submitted a question. And remember that if you use Twitter or Instagram now, you can do hashtag Ask Weldon. And when you get featured on the show, you'll also have your handle there so that people can follow you. You can also, of course, go to mindgames.gg/TV and fill it in there if you want to remain anonymous or if you just want to use your name or you don't have a Twitter account. So keep it up. If we keep getting awesome questions like this, then I'll be able to keep this nice longer format show where we do 3 questions. And again, if you don't want the longer show, then there's timestamps down below. You can skip to the question you want to hear, or you can just watch this over a couple days.
Kim asks, is hard work useless without talent? Talent seems like a multiplier in skill. Does talent overcome hard work eventually?
So in the details, Kim talks about training people and how noticing that some people improve far faster than others. And this is really interesting because it's one of those things where science and statistics can tell you a lot more than your basic, observations of 1 or 2 cases. And it turns out that if you look at the problem statistically, and if we examine, through psychometrics and mental skills, measuring tools, and just look a long time over time, what you see is that one person's hard work is not the same as another person's hard work. So when you see a person working hard with a deep focus, it seems like the person is talented, like they have some genetic thing or they're just better. But it's really mostly just that they're focusing better. So they're better at focusing. So maybe the talent could be that they're better at focusing, except that we know is a learned life skill, unless you have some sort of chemical imbalance. Or B, that they're simply more motivated. Okay, so people can put in the same amount of time on something, but whether or not you learn the thing motor-wise has to do with how motivated you are to attack it mentally or how deeply you are focusing. So you can see this in a lot of cases where this person, who is not very good at something, and then all of a sudden they're really amazing at something else, and they're like, oh yeah, you found your talent, you found the thing you're supposed to do. What they really found was the thing that motivates them. The thing that they can attack, for 7 hours at a time with an incredible intense focus, and they're checked in every single moment, and they're just going, and their neurons are firing, and they're learning so much and so fast that they're increasing their ability in that. Okay, so when you have 2 people that say they want to get better at, for example, an esport, and you're coaching both of them, the simple case is that, some people are more motivated than others. If you listen to my podcast interview with Freeze, you will hear that his motivation was just on another level. When you're living in the situation he's living in, and you have a certain amount of hours to play, and the electricity is going to get unplugged, on your computer. If you overgo that, then you have this motivation. It's somebody who knows that, okay, I can play whenever I want. I'm a sophomore in high school. I have my whole life in front of me. I'm just doing this for fun, blah, blah, blah. It's just a very different mindset to approach things with. So no, talent is not a multiplier for skill. Yes, focus is a multiplier, and motivation is a multiplier for work. And talent does not overcome hard work eventually. In fact, it's the other way around. Hard work overcomes talent so consistently that if we look statistically throughout time, it's as if talent never existed in terms of honing a craft for a skill. Basically, if nobody was ever allowed to practice anything, then we would see people who were the talented, I guess, genetically coming up. But because we're allowed to practice things, because we can hone crafts, hard work essentially erases talent instantly the moment that you start out down a path.
Kim asks, I want to be a better leader. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. How do you make it drink? How do you motivate people?
So this kind of ties into the first question, and that's why I really wanted to tackle it here. And essentially, Kim is asking, like, how do you encourage people into a positive mindset? Or if they don't want to do it and it needs to be done, how do you approach this? Okay, so the way that I do it is I deconstruct people. Find out what they value, find out what they want, find out what makes them tick. And you can do this to yourself too. It's called self-awareness, self-reflection. You do it through reflection. If it's not what you're coaching, if the thing that makes them tick or makes them excited or that they actually value in life is not what you are teaching them, then you aren't going to be able to get them to drink the water, even if you lead them to it. Especially if it's something that's hard, like if it's like, tolerate your teammate, and that's something that's difficult because they hate their teammate. And if somebody's like, well, I want to win this tournament no matter what, it's the most important thing in the world to me, then they'll tolerate their teammate, like whatever they have to do to win, they'll do it. But if they're like, I don't really care about winning this tournament as much as I care about, my face or my reputation or being annoyed by this person, then it's really hard to get them to tolerate their teammate. So you have to make it easier if this is the case, or you can just tell them that, sorry, they don't really care about this enough to actually change their behavior. So then there's the other case where somebody really, really, really values something, or they say they do, and then they can't seem to get around the behavior to doing it, and this is called avoidance. And you have to build up a person's poise to get around this avoidance issue. Essentially, it's called experiential avoidance. People avoid experiences that they dislike. And a poise is the ability to do something, endure an experience you don't like, because you want the outcome that comes with that. Because you value the outcome, rather. So even if they don't feel like it, they'll do it. So you can start with really small tasks. When I coach teams and athletes, I start with really small things. And every week, we have something that we're pushing against, something that we're straining against, something that we're kind of like overcoming. And you build up that resilience. It's a resilience skill. And that is how you train a horse to drink water.
Luke asks, I feel like sometimes I'm too sensitive to toxicity in game to the point where it makes me play worse. How do I deal with toxicity?
Okay, Luke. So I don't think you're alone in this experience of being toxified by other people, and it makes you feel worse and play worse, and you wondering how to deal with it. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time in this. It's hard to deal with, first of all, because you care about what others think and feel. If you didn't care about what others think and feel, then you wouldn't be bothered by toxicity. So you're empathetic, and that's a good thing. It's bad for you, but it's good, that you're empathetic. So one tactic that you can have is to go all in on empathy. You can rationalize and feel sorry for the toxic person because, this is their outlet, and it's very sad. It's very sad that they have that kind of life. So it's good that you could help them get out some of their anger, I guess. So that's one tactic that I've tried before and that I've done before, and then it kind of works. Sometimes it's, depending on your mood, it's really fun. The second way that you can approach this problem is to realize that you only get one state. So I'm talking about emotional state. Emotions are these mindset style, chemically driven kind of states in your mind that you kind of hold. And you can vary between states quite rapidly. And you can have a mood and then an affect on top of it. Yeah, but you really only get one emotion at a time in your brain, basically. One thought, one emotion. So you can train gratitude. You can train your own emotion that you want to use in situations like this. I train gratitude every morning. I list 3 things that I'm grateful for. You can do it every night. You can do it mid-game. Make it a habit. That is how you condition yourself to train gratitude. Gratitude is a precursor to joy. So we know from research that you're looking at the pursuit of happiness throughout life. If you want that, if you want to find happiness in life, we know it's not so tied to money. It's not so tied to getting the things we want. In fact, some of the most happy people are those with hardship. If you want to get happiness in life, then get good at gratitude because it is the precursor to joy. Train it. This is something that Olympic athletes do all the way down to the U.S. down, all the way sideways to the US military. I mean, it's used in many high-performance situations. And it's a very powerful life skill on top of being very good for dealing with toxicity. So the tool I use to train gratitude is the 5-minute journal. It's, I think, personally the best option that I have, and I've used both the paper version and the digital version, and I've also used a template that I made myself just by looking at a PDF on their site. So you can choose your option. Go to mindgames.gg/tools, mindgames.gg/tools, and check out the 5-minute journal. You can go to their site and see a PDF of the page, and you can just like make your own template. You can buy a physical copy, you can buy a digital copy. It's very simple. You just list 3 things you're grateful for. But the beginning of the book has an actual like nice little instruction of like kind of how to think about it. And some of it is right on the money with research, and some of it is kind of anecdotal and pulled from pop culture. But generally speaking, from performance psychology, it's quite useful and quite powerful. And it is seriously the absolute only way to reliably reset yourself. So one day, for example, I remember this very distinctly because I've known this, right? But then experiencing it was different. I was driving to the daycare. We had a really tough morning. The kids had been absolutely crazy, and I was just full of anger at them and at the life and at my situation and just like everything. So then I was walking. The sun was shining. The air is crisp. It's a beautiful end of summer or end of spring morning. And like by all rights, it should be the most delightful thing in the world because I'm walking through this forest with the morning sun, cascading over the trees. And I was so furious about just stuff that I was missing it. And so I just immediately started listing things I was grateful for or thinking about them kind of in my mind, which I was good at because I've been training it. And it was like hitting a reset switch on an old Nintendo. When you have the game in there and you just like hit the reset switch a bunch. And then it starts working and you're playing Final Fantasy and it's like it never didn't work. You're like trying to get the Final Fantasy cartridge to work like for like 7 minutes, and it's like every single time it boots up, it's like got the stupid like cardboard screen or whatever, and you're like power button blow and it hit the reset switch. Like you're trying every single trick in the book and you're just like so full of anger, and then all of a sudden it works, and like 10 seconds later it's like it never didn't work. You're just having fun. So that is basically what it's like. That was the experience that I had. So I really recommend it. Please check out the 5-minute journal because they've really made a difference for me personally in how I apply myself. But remember that you don't have to buy it. You can just simply make your own version if you don't want to buy it. But if you can afford it, it supports their kind of mission, which is cool. So the quote I want to end with today is, "To be a great champion, you must believe you are the best. If not, pretend you are." Muhammad Ali.